this evening, let's look at a school staff guide for parents. Many of you send your students to school. Send your children to school. And there are a lot of people that work at the school besides the teachers. Who are they? First, we have school leaders, or we call the administration or administrators. The principal is the leader of the school. The principal makes the decisions, manages the teachers and staff, handles serious student issues, communicates with families. The principal is the head of a school. Typically in elementary school, there's one principal. If it's a big elementary school, there might be an assistant principal. Middle school, typically principal and assistant principal. High school, big main principal, and then there's other principals underneath them. We'll talk about that, or house masters. The assistant principal helps the principal. They may handle specific things that the principal doesn't handle, like student discipline, manage schedules, supervise lunch or arrival, support teachers. In large schools, there may be more than one assistant principal. If your child or children go to high school right now, and some high school students are divided into smaller groups called houses, sections. I know when I was in high school, there were 3 houses. Some high schools have 4 houses. Some high schools may have 5 houses, meaning, for example, students A through F are in house 1 or house A. Students G to L are in house B, etc., and so on. Or it may go by student interest or other things. In some high schools, when they're divided, there's a house master, an assistant principal for each house. A house master oversees that group of students in the house. They support students and families, help with attendance and behavior, and they closely work with guidance counselors. Not all schools will have house masters. Now, also, they may make student schedules. They may look at teacher schedules. They are often responsible for observing the teachers that are in their house. And also, if students have behavioral problems or get into trouble and need to go to detention or in school suspension or out of school suspension, these are what a housemaster deals with. And actually, my mom was a housemaster. A guidance counselor. This is very important because you may hear these 2 terms, guidance counselor and social worker. And every school has at least one of each. A guidance counselor, or called a school counselor, helps students choose their classes, talks to students about their personal problems, and helps them when they are preparing for college or career planning. If your child is in high school, ask them, say, who's your guidance counselor? They know. They have one. They also look to support emotional well-being in high school. Counselors help students apply to college. The guidance counselors help students apply to college. They look at their applications. They might write letter of recommendations. They really answer all of the college questions, the guidance counselor. All schools will have a social worker, absolutely. A school social worker helps students and families. They are there to help for mental health, family problems, crisis situations, connecting families with community services. They may work with students in one-on-one situations or in small groups. If parents are going through a divorce, social worker can be contacted and they can just help the student in any way. If there's family problems, if a student is depressed, having anxiety, a social worker is who they need to talk to, who you can talk to and call and say, can you help us? If families need food, they need housing, they have any questions, the social workers are connected with the services in schools and usually out of schools in the town or city in the community. Schools will all have a school psychologist. If a school is small, they might have a part-time psychologist that comes in half a day, or one certain days out of the week they may travel to different schools. But schools will also have a psychologist. They test students for learning disabilities. They help with behavior plans, support special education evaluations, and provide counseling in some cases. They are trained in child development and mental health. For elementary school, your child has a classroom teacher, or we just call their teacher. They teach the daily lessons. They grade assignments. They communicate with parents. They manage the classroom. Students spend most of their day with classroom teachers, except for probably gym, art, music. Those are they call specials, that teachers for those. There is also in every school a special education teacher. This teacher works with students who have disabilities. They follow students' IEP, individualized education programs. They provide extra academic support, and they may do this in small groups. They may go into the classroom where a student is learning and work with the teacher while the student's in the classroom with their teacher, or they may have one-on-one sessions or time. Obviously, if you're watching this, you are probably in our ESL program. You have an ESL teacher. Students at school have an ESL teacher. I think I can leave that there. There is the school nurse. The nurse takes care of sick or injured students. They give students medication if they have a prescription and there's permission from the parents. And they manage health plans for students. Some schools have an SRO. Some schools have a police officer from the police department that is called a school resource officer. Typically, it's usually in middle and high school, definitely in high school. They help keep the school safe, build positive relationships with students. They respond to emergencies. Not all schools have SROs, school resource officer, but if you hear, oh, that's the school resource officer, it's a police officer that has been assigned to the school. It doesn't mean the school is dangerous. It just is what communities like to have. They will work if there are student issues, they help out with them. Schools typically in the office have a secretary or what we formally call an administrative assistant. They answer the phone. They help parents with paperwork. They manage attendance records. They may schedule appointments. This is often the first person parents speak to, or when you call, this is usually the person that picks up the phone, the secretary, or what people refer to as administrative assistant. Schools may have, in an elementary school, I worked at them, they had 2 administrative assistants, one that worked for the principal and the assistant principal, and one that dealt with everything else in the office, phone calls and everything else, attendance. You may hear the word paraprofessional, teacher's aide, or para. Para is short for paraprofessional. A paraprofessional helps the teacher in a classroom, supports students who need extra help, and they may work one-on-one with a student, or they might be called teaching assistants. Lastly, all buildings have a custodian. You may hear the word janitor, but the formal term and is used is custodian. They clean the building, they fix problems, they keep the school safe and organized. Custodian. Parents, I hope you learned a variety of new vocabulary here about all the different types of staff members in a school.